primary term of the lease. But the only way that you get those payments is if, in fact, you get a wind-friendly lease in this township. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. You're only going to get money if you pass a wind-friendly ordinance. But that's not the worst of it. In the lease, there are 3 provisions that bind you to Apex to do 3 different things. First of all, it says you're not going to interfere with them, you're going to cooperate with them, and you're going to keep anything you know about them confidential. That goes directly against your obligations to this township. I also want to mention that there's evidence of those conflicts is played out in 2 different ways right now. A couple months ago, the PC had a motion to put a moratorium in this township on wind energy permits. It was a vote of 5 to 4. The 3 PC members who were conflicted voted against that motion. If they had recused themselves, as they should have, the motion would have passed 4 to 2. Doesn't mean this board would have accepted it, but at least the motion would have passed. The second way this is playing out is with the ordinance that this township the PC is looking at. For your ordinance, they're starting out with the Gratiot County ordinance, which is the most wind-friendly ordinance you could possibly adopt. That's what they're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Anyone else?
Winfield Township. At the last board meeting, I presented a letter that was sent to Phyllis Larson from Attorney Nolan and asked that be made part of the record. I don't know if that has been passed along to each board member. If it hasn't, I have copies. Attorney O'Meara referenced this letter at the PC meeting, and he said that he agreed regarding the conflict of interest, 90% of that letter. If he agrees 90%, that means those who have signed leases do have a conflict of interest. That includes Phyllis and the people that Robert just indicated on the PC. And it is necessary that you recuse yourselves and do not participate in any wind activity. And the residents are going to hold you to it, because it's very important that we don't have conflicted officials dealing with topics. We don't have a bylaw for the Planning Commission that deals properly with conflict of interest. And I brought that up at the last board meeting and asked that the board work on that. But what we do have says that a failure to disclose a potential conflict of interest shall be considered malfeasance in office. And if the other PC members recognize that conflict, it exists. And those of you who don't have a conflict of interest but are allowing the other members to continue to participate with a conflict, you also are getting some liability. And down the road, when there will be a lawsuit because some proven thing doesn't go well, you are opening yourself up to liability. And litigation goes, the plaintiff is going to name every defendant they possibly can. And I don't know if the township has a insurance directors and officers policy of some sort, but you might want to check with the insurance company on what's going to be covered down the road when you've been made known that you're working with a conflict of interest and against the interest of the residents. All of you need to take this seriously and start recognizing the conflict that exists. There's no question. And you're taking advice from a firm that you have already referred to as an Apex attorney in your minutes. Minutes that you all approved, so you all had the idea that they were an Apex attorney. They represent public municipalities, and they've already shown at the solar meeting by Attorney Warren that they're not the firm to be using and spending money.
She raised her hand.
Oh, sorry. Okay, since we're on this topic, I'm sorry, my name is Kay Scott, married to Bob, who just spoke. City Township, we have a place on Nevins Lake. This is in layman's term, a very simple definition of conflict of interest. If public officials are considering how to regulate a particular industry's use of land in a township, then any official who is receiving or will receive monetary payment from a company in that industry has a conflict of interest. Recusal should be automatic and mandatory. I have just one more point to make. I believe that asking someone who is conflicted to recuse themselves is like asking a police officer to issue himself a speeding ticket. And here's my point. If you're not doing that voluntarily, your attorney's job
Your time is up.
is to see to it that you recuse yourself. Your attorney is not doing his job.
Thank you.
Kevin Murphy, Winfield Township. At the solar meeting, when the attorney Warren Anthony said, I don't know who that woman is, and it turned out to be, in fact, his wife, one that thought they were just pretty fans. What did you guys do as a board? How come he's no longer representing the township?
Did you want him to?
Pardon me?
Would you want him to?
I wonder what happened. Did you guys fire him?
No. Faye's office had called and they apologized for it. They had no idea. And neither did he, evidently, that his wife was gonna get up and speak. But at that particular time, they had relocated to Mount Pleasant. And so he resigned from there and he took a position in Mount Pleasant.
Moved away from turbines.
Thank you.
Hello, Dave Myers, Winfield Township. Phyllis, I'm wondering, as the superintendent of our township, what advice are you giving to the planning commission folks that have signed lease agreements with Apex?
I'm not giving any of them any advice.
You don't think that that's something that maybe should be done as the superintendent of the township, being their leader to give them advice?
No, I believe that that's their job as a planning commission. They have a template that they're going over and that they need to do that. They need to research this and do what is best for the township. They don't need that interference from me.
Right. How about regarding the conflict of interest? Nothing there either?
We are not discussing when here, and they go on by what the attorney has told them.
Okay, thank you.
Rico Panicki, Winfield Township. My understanding is there's still one seat open on the planning commission yet. Is there a reason that somebody has not been appointed to that position yet?
The only reason is I'm being very careful. I want somebody, and I'm sure that you do too, that can look at pros and cons and do the best job that you can.
Who's determining the pros and cons, and are all of us can we be made aware of what those pros and cons are?
I guess that's just me. And then I do seek advice.
I have a question, I guess, since you answered her questions about that, I was just wondering if you could elaborate at all on the appointment that was made tonight and why he qualifies or what went into that decision for you.
he was on the board of review. I've watched him weigh it out. He's used to working with the public. He can, weigh it out. It doesn't matter. See, how do I say this? He seems to be able to weigh it out, which is, you know, pros and cons, what's best for the community. It could go either way.
May I make a statement on that as well?
No.
We can talk after.
It's public comment too.
No, he's part of the board.
Does this new member have a lease sign?
No. Matter of fact, he's got property that he's by a creek and he's got an electric line going through it, so it's
Sounds
not
like
like
he's
that.
safe then.
Yes, Jeremy.
Have you had any word, about the wind moratorium?
The wind moratorium,
Yeah, the lawyer's gonna
the
be more,
attorney had said not to.
to give a reason why, or why you would have one
I
for
don't
solar when
remember
there's no
right
wind?
now, I don't remember what it was right now, he just had said, you know, why? I mean, who's gonna come in with a wind turbine and put it up without an ordinance?
The same logic would be applied to the solar moratorium and
No,
money
that was
spent.
different, because with solar, there were people that were putting them on their house or in their side yards or something like that, so that needed to have a moratorium on that, so that it could be,
Addressed and
Right.
Thank you for answering the questions too, that's really, I appreciate that and respect that.
Leslie Rydell, Pine Township. Am I clear that you don't believe that you have a conflict of interest? Is that where you're coming from?
no, what I'm saying is that I'm following my attorney's advice. And right now, at this time, I don't have to, I can be here, we're not discussing Winfield.
Okay, so morally, you don't think you have a conflict of interest
I
in
think,
the whole wind tower,
I
being the
think-
supervisor of this township?
I think that I've been able to weigh things out and I'm careful about it.
How can you be careful about that when Apex has different clauses that
Because maybe
prohibit
those
you?
clauses aren't there.
Pardon me?
Said maybe those clauses aren't there.
Oh, they are there.
No, they're not.
You can't inhibit, you
Well,
can't
I-
obstruct anything having to do with writing an ordinance, approving an ordinance. Will you be voting on the ultimate wind ordinance that your planning commission comes up with and submits to you? Or are you going to recuse yourself, as you should?
Whatever my attorney advises at the time.
And that's Beatty, the Beatty firm?
It could be.
Okay, well, that seems a little sarcastic.
That,
Do you know
I
or
don't
don't
mean to
you know?
sound sarcastic, but if he's the one attorney that's there at the time, then that would be, maybe Kevin Lamont or Kyle Lamont.
Oh,
That
right.
I would,
Thank you.
Can I give that to Phyllis, John, or can you have some? Please.
That's a copy of the lease, just so you know.
So your attorney can read it.
one time. You already had your one time. Jay,
Jay Johnson from Winfield Township. What's the status on, solar ordinance?
it's at the planning commission, at the county planning commission.
What'd you say? Sorry, I missed what you said.
What?
What did you say in response to him? I missed
What
it.
was the status on the solar ordinance?
He asked me what the status was on the solar ordinance, and I said it's at the planning commission at the county.
Okay.
My
Wilson, Maple Valley. It seems to me, fellas, you've kind of forgotten who you work for. You work for these constituents. And I'm kind of gathering they're kind of tired of paying you to shove the shit on them.
Amen.
You can stare me down if you want, fellas.
So I'm thinking it over,
Good.
because I could adjourn the meeting.
Do it.
I mean.
It's your meeting.
Yes, it is. But does somebody else have a comment? Be respectful, or I will close it.
You should be respectful and recuse yourself.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it. Thank you.